Gentlemen, if you would, take a look at the minutes from last week's meeting. And if there is a motion to adopt those, we'll entertain that.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are adopted. Under new business, item number 1, authorization to add various personnel to conduct financial transactions on behalf of the City of Tuscaloosa. Ms. Standridge.
Yes, thank you, council. This resolution is due to a couple of new hires that we have had throughout the course of the last couple of months. This is adding a number of people to do bank transactions. This is going to be moving, possibly moving cash between different bank accounts for investment purposes. And this will not supersede any procedures or policies that we have for expenditure approvals or check writing processes. This is just for general financial transactions between bank accounts.
All right, any questions?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. What has been the general number of signers that we've had? The general number?
The general number of, signers?
Oh, well, yes, ma'am. We're authorizing different people to do different things. What has been the general number? Do you know?
Yeah, so these are gonna be, usually the CFO, the deputy CFO, the director of, accounting and financial reporting, the deputy director of accounting and financial reporting, and then our treasury accountant, so usually 5 people.
Okay.
And why do we add the Red Mountain employees?
That is only on the, amphitheater clearing account, only on that one. They're the ones that, per our Red Mountain agreement, Red Mountain is the one that does financial transactions with that bank account. They are new employees with Red Mountain.
All right, any other questions?
So moved. Excuse me.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, the item is approved. Item number 2, ordinance amending section 225 of the Code of Tuscaloosa. Ms. Standridge, this is also you.
Yes, so the next few items number 2, 3, 4, and 5, all relate to the water and sewer capital projects proposal that was vetted through this committee and approved to move forward last time that we met. So the first one up is the ordinance amending the code section. This is moving the reserve amount from 30% of prior year budgeted numbers to 20% of the current year under audit financial statement numbers.
Okay, say it one more time, from 30% of the prior years.
The prior year's budgeted operating expenses
Okay.
to 20% of the current audited year's budgeted operating expenses. What that does is it mirrors what's on the general fund side.
Okay, all right, any questions on that?
Why would we move from 30 to 20? What brought that on?
This is the discussion I think that we had last time when we were talking about the item. Basically, it has been 30%, probably I think since the early 2000s. Moving it to 20% again mirrors the general fund, and I don't think that we necessarily gain any efficiency by having that higher reserve number,
Okay.
especially when it comes to being able to reinvest into the system.
Do you remember, was that discussed at all in our visit with the credit rating agencies?
The change of the reserve, yes, we've
That was
discussed
a
changes
reason.
of reserves.
That
And
was a
also, one thing I'll talk about with the bond rating agency discussions and our credit ratings, one of the items that they focus heavily on obviously is the reserve amount. And when you are doing a GO pledge, the reserve amount that they care about is in your general fund, because that is basically your free all, able to pay any debt down is going to be your general fund reserve amount. Because our utility is a proprietary fund, they look at that as an ancillary reserve anyway. Obviously, we can lump it all in and we get a little bit of credit for it, but we get after the line credit. After the one that they really care about, the general fund reserve. This is another one that just kind of is like, oh yeah, an extra like half of a
And
gold
we
star.
do no issues as revenue bonds, correct?
We do not. We have not in the past. I mean, we have the ability to, but that is not what we've
We
done.
discussed the possibility of that with the agencies this time, and my memory is there was no identifiable advantage to doing that.
I agree with that, especially when we have as strong of a credit rating as we do. The GO pledge is what's really going to get us the lowest interest rate possible.
Okay. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 3.
This is
Water and
the,
sewer reserve for future improvements, budget revision number 5.
yes, sir. This is going to be the portion of the water and sewer capital proposal that will enact the water and sewer RFFI. It also has a couple of project cleanups within that we outlined with council the last time that we met and talked through them all. So what this will do is this will set the budget for things like the Ed Love Basin Ceiling, the Fletcher Process Master Plan, things of that nature that were all listed out in the project proposal that was given and discussed at the last work session and then passed through council the last time. Sorry, passed through committee the last meeting.
Okay. Questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Item is approved. Next item, 2022B, warrant budget revision number 2. Ms. Standridge?
Yes, this is going to be enacting again the water and sewer capital proposal portion with the fiscal 2022B warrant issue, which is the 10-year water and sewer plan item. This is going to encompass the AMI item that was just spoken about during projects committee during the presentation. Other items that are within this budget revision are going to be funding of the projects that we listed when we went out for bond issue. If you will recall, when we originally did this bond issuance, we had not completed the SRF issuance as well, so we had to front some of the expenses into this bond issue. Now that we have the SRF in place, we're moving them all to the SRF where they belong, and that frees up about $12 million in this bond issuance. And so we are reallocating that $12 million to the projects that we proposed during original issuance. The main $12 million comes from the Ed Love raw water upgrade that is now fully within the CW or CW SRF. Yes, so the $12 million now sits in CW SRF. $12 million is now freed up within the bond, and we are applying it via those projects. Manhole 6978, Brooksdale Drive, the AMI project as we've mentioned before, the Fletcher secondary aeration diffuser, switchgear and generator repair, outfall line repair, and then the Northwestern sewer expansion engineering planning is the one item that was not on that original project list.
All right. And the remaining contingency is
2.5.
2.5.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Water and sewer is approved. Hang on, let me get back to the front. Item number 5, preliminary approval for FY24 water and sewer bond issue.
So this is the final piece of the capital project proposal for water and sewer. This will list out all of the projects these were given previously also, but this will be the bond issuance that we plan to do in 2024 as the next step in the 10-year plan for water and sewer. It's a total of $75 million.
And so refresh us, if you would, Ms. Standridge, as we move towards that $75 million in 24. What are the checks that we will hit getting to release?
Sure. So this is, this will be the first one. And then the next thing that we'll do is we'll have to go out for our bond rating. When we will do our bond rating presentation, we'll get our credit rating, and then we'll have to come back and then we'll do preliminary pricing. That preliminary pricing will come to the council. We'll do a final, spin through of what the project cost will be, like maybe a little bit better of an engineering proposal at that point. We'll finalize the project costs and the budgets for them, and then we will come back to council for a final release of the issuance and to take out that actual debt. So council will really probably have about 3 more looks at this before we actually can issue debt.
And is there any sense from operational considerations, where's Kim? Do we have any inkling, early 24, mid 24, late 24?
On timing of this one, so the timing of the issuance, I would, if I had my way, I would like to see this coupled with any other bond issuance that we're planning to do in 2024, so that we only have one origination fee, one time of having to go out for credit rating. Those things cost a lot of money, and they are extremely, time intensive. And so if we can couple that and bond it together with another bond issuance, that's preferable. I would like to say summer of 2024.
And Mr. Busby, one of the things that this preliminary approval will accomplish is it will be a reimbursable resolution. As council may recall, when we've gone through these things in the past, there are certain aspects of a project that you can reimburse yourself from the bond proceeds that you've already done. Those are fairly limited, though. When you do a reimbursable resolution, that broadens the scope and the amount of things you can reimburse yourself from the bond proceeds, which should allow us to potentially wait a little bit longer to couple those debt issuances.
If I can add in a layer of complexity that will require a little bit of nimbleness from the city council, is that you have this bond issue, you also have the Savings Center, which could be around the same time. We also could potentially have Jack Warner Parkway Phase 3 this fall or this winter, depending upon, we're inching ever closer to railroad approval now that the merger with Canadian Pacific is complete. And so that has restarted, and we feel good about the momentum. So from an internal standpoint, do you want to go with 2, 3, 4 different types of bond proposals, or do you want to get short-term financing and go all at one time? And that's going to be something we'll have to put in our calculus and address.
We'll move towards that. I echo Ms. Standridge's preference that one and done would be more efficient if we can handle the financing to get to that point.
Of course, they're all different. Jack Warner Parkway ultimately is reimbursable by TCRIC. Water and sewer certainly is the enterprise fund. And then the Savings Center itself would be a mixture of state funds and also Elevate funds, along with monies from private donations. So each of those 3 major projects really all have 3 different funding sources, but would fall under our overall GEO pledge.
Okay. All right, any questions? Is there a motion?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Water and sewer bond issuance 10-year plan is approved. Item number 6, authorization to amend TCEDA 2023 agency funding agreement. Mr. Crowe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The city and the county and Northport and also the city of Brookwood are all funders of the Tuscaloosa County Economic Development Authority. The city, of course, and the county are by far the largest funders. When we did the agency funding this year, we, I think, meant to restore probably I'd say the pre-COVID budget for TCEDA would be $440 to match what the county was doing. And this is just a authorization to give an additional $22,000 to the TCEDA to match the county's funding for this budget year.
Okay, any questions?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item is approved. Item number 7, general fund reserve for future improvements, budget revision number 11. Ms. Standridge.
Yes, sir. So this will begin the culmination of all of the items for the general fund capital proposal that was proposed, I think, in April. So the first one is the GF RFFI, and this will create items that were proposed, such as fire station number 6, the FY '23 citywide fiber project, and then, the PAL gym that was also discussed during projects committee. It is those items, that we will be creating, and then of course there will, again, just like the water and sewer, there's a couple of project cleanups, projects that are over that had a little bit of funding left over, and those will be closed out and moved into contingency.
So for example, and we've talked about the fire station on here, but the numbers we show are just the total numbers involved, right? That's not, we discussed the approach of financing it versus paying in cash.
What,
But the item on here it's just the total number, right?
So, and yes, so the items that finance worked up and put in to be able to meet deadlines for finance committee, publication are from the original. I do know that there's been some changes that have circulated. Those are not taken into consideration here just because of publication deadlines.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Busby, I was expecting you to provide the council a memorandum. I emailed you Saturday, as you requested on Friday, a draft memorandum of the amendments that I think we all agreed to. So I thought that's when you were gonna.
And you are absolutely correct. I thought it was gonna be in the publication, and I did
We
not.
missed publication because of the 12 o'clock Friday deadline.
Okay. So what's the best way to effect that, to include it in this?
I think if what we can do is, we can withdraw the items that will be all in that capital proposal. And then if that memorandum is sufficient, then what A&F will do is to take that memorandum, we will massage what we have presented to include those items, the changes that are from that memorandum, and then we'll put that on council.
Okay, so when this moves from committee to council, that memorandum that I should have included will be a part of that on the full council agenda?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Change the numbers.
We'll change all the numbers around to reflect exactly what was listed in the memorandum.
Okay. And Mayor, my apologies, that should have come through.
And it would be on the council on the 11th, but knowing if the council's good, we're gonna go ahead and begin moving those projects onward.
It's good.
That's good. We're fine with that.
And the same thing's coming up with the Freedom Farms.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All of that. We'll get to, but
Yeah.
yes, same idea will apply to that one.
Okay.
Do you want us to outline the changes real quick? Or are you good?
I think we're good. I mean, we've beat them up, I think, 2 weeks in a row. And I assume that it showed, I'm good. Where does that leave us?
So I will need a vote to withdraw the GF RFFI item, as it's stated, and then we'll put the amended
Right on
one
council.
directly on council. Mhm.
Motion to withdraw.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So do we now need to make an amended resolution to include on full council on the 11th? Is that what we're shooting for?
If you would like to do that would probably help us
I
in the
would. I think that
minutes
makes life
to
simpler for
have
everybody.
documentation of that. Yes, sir.
So I would like to make a resolution that we add this to the full council agenda on the 11th for approval, recommended for approval, with the amended changes outlined between you and I in the email that will be included on the in the resolution on council. That,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor say, Mayor, that matches?
Yes, sir.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item is approved. Item number 777. We're on item number 8, Ms. Sandra, General Fund Budget Revision number 16.
Yes, sir. So this item will be twofold. It will incorporate the EDA budget revision for the increased funding contract, and then it also has the Freedom Farms opioid settlement revenues on the side. So what I'm going to ask is if you would like to pass this one just for documentation, I would need an amendment from the floor to say we're only passing item A listed within the budget revision. That item B is withdrawn and will be incorporated via the memo that will be
That's correct.
from, that will be put straight on
Can I
council.
just make a motion for what you just said?
No, you
Have at it.
No, yeah, item A, the motion, item A is gonna be funded as listed.
As listed.
Item B will be withdrawn and will be brought to full council in the agreed upon format.
It's part of my August operational budgets.
Yes, as part of the, so that's my motion, is that okay?
That's
Sounds
okay.
great, sounds great to me.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, item number 8 is approved. Number 9, elevate budget revision. Number 4, standards.
So in the same vein, this is the general fund conglomeration of capital projects that was proposed. And this is the budget revision that will enact all of that. So this is the one that will take the current year funding of the event center, as it's been on hold, off the table. That will be including funding for the planning portion of expansion of the Northern Riverwalk, continuing funding of the Western Riverwalk, creating the Carlton Park improvements, and then doing a couple of cleanups of projects that also have been closed out, moving those into contingency.
The amended version, though, will also add Skyland Boulevard streetscaping at $500,000 for a planning study that will be on the corridor from Highway 82 to Highway 69 South.
Okay, but isn't that coming out of CDBG by capital project?
No, sir, we're recommending that $500,000 out of Elevate, and then we're recommending the CDBG portion of our agreement was for allocating
facade?
$100,000. Yes, sir, from the facade.
All right. So
Let's
how
withdraw
do we
this
now
one.
incorporate that into what we're fixing to forward?
Let's do the same as general fund RFFI. We'll withdraw this one and then make a resolution to create a new one that includes or incorporates the changes from that memorandum.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second, whatever.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is approved.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
This item that's here for the agency funding, this is just for discussion?
My
correct?
memory is
No-
this
no
is
vote.
for
This is just-
discussion so that we can begin to give the staff and the mayor's office an idea of,
Feedback.
as well as, well, I guess primarily London.
And we need to go ahead and alert the agencies
Which
that you would like to.
agencies we would anticipate calling in to present. And I think that's always malleable, but I would start off with the big 5.
Yes, sir. The Tuscaloosa City
Education.
Schools, that'll be para,
Para.
TTSC, EDA, and transit. Those are the big 5.
Okay. Anybody have any objections to those appearing and presenting?
No, sir?
No, or any of these,
Do you want any others at this time, or?
Well, that's what the discussion is.
Yeah.
So how,
I would,
Do sister cities, and T-STEP.
and I like the Ivy Foundation, the Murphy African American Museum, and Turning Point.
when we get additional information, I'd love to know what these special appropriations are.
All special appropriations are listed within their application as well. So, the application book was emailed
Okay.
out previously. It is a very, very, very large document, and I understand it is hard to.
1,055 pages.
It is hard to download. If there is one specifically that you are interested in, yes, we can excerpt that and send that to you like singularly. But all the special appropriations will be included in all of their applications.
And Carly, would you include TPL? I'd like to know where they are.
I'm sorry, the library is part of that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mr. Wilson, you mentioned the Ivy Foundation, and what was your other one?
The Ivy
Thank you.
Foundation
Gotcha.
The Phoenix House, and
Turning point.
I said Turning Point.
Turning Point, and Ms. Sandridge, I would anticipate talking with Kentuck and West Alabama, Food Bank.
Got it.
Ms. Standridge, I would like to see Stillman College, the Ivy Foundation, and then if you could just email me the special appropriations for, tennis / McDonough Center, or para, I guess.
Okay.
Or was para one of the big five? No.
Yes,
Yeah,
they are.
Okay. I need for the email.
And
So Para's special appropriation is for the tennis center specifically.
Okay.
It's their, they usually issue a profit and loss statement for the tennis center specifically, and then we will fund the remaining loss of theirs, and that's what that special appropriation is for. But I can definitely get it to you so that you can see it, how they put it in their own words.
All right? That's
Got
the initial thinking on which agencies would be interviewed.
Okay.
Again, I think as we move towards that, we would anticipate that, Mayor, in what, end of August or mid-August?
The goal is to
For the
present the budget,
agencies.
I think August 15th, if my memory
Right.
serves correct. So it's just, you certainly can present it, we can start the meetings with them before we present the budget itself. And
Correct.
we can give you a head start.
So I'm sure we'll have a couple of work sessions scheduled. Look forward to everybody being there to interview the agencies that they've asked to interview.
We can get together maybe a preliminary proposed schedule for you, and email that out. See
That
if-
would be good, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 11, discussion, is there any other discussion on the agency funding? Item number 11, discussion of Guthrie's incentive proposal. Councilman Lanier, I believe this is your show.
Yeah, I'm not presenting, but this is just, us reviewing and, voting this up to council, but, I mean, Mr. Pate and Ms. Linda Peacock gonna present. Of course, I'm just letting you know that we discussed this previously, and we're gonna, everybody got their packets, and I'm just, thanking you in advance for agreeing and voting with me, and, we're gonna bring Mr. Pate on up.
Hey,
I'm up there, if it's a good vote, just don't say anything.
Smart man.
I was late, I apologize. Been a busy day. Somebody called me this morning and told me it was my 33rd birthday, so I've been happy ever since. And I left the United States Senator sitting in my office, he popped in and I left him eating his Chick-fil-A. I don't mind something more important to go do, but.
you couldn't get him any Guthrie's?
Do what?
Not
Couldn't
yet.
get him any
I
Guthrie's?
tried to
Not yet,
tell
but
him,
we
that's
trying
why I
to.
left him sitting at the table. I said, wrong place today, Senator. He said, get it open, but, it has been, an interesting day, but we're here to talk about something real important, and that's beginning to rebuild south side of town. An effort to start at what I think we all know is a gateway. What we all know is a significantly blighted area. Not everybody knows the McFarland Mall project has been waiting on. It's been a manage that site empty so you can start over. Dollar Tree is the last tenant there with lease rights, but we're getting near the end of that. Hopefully we'll get a relocation on the site because something that I have learned, everybody loves their Dollar Tree.
Yes, sir.
So we'll do something favorable with Dollar Tree. But to get started, we have this opportunity for Guthrie's there. The franchisee will be, the mayor has met by Zoom or FaceTime or something. The franchisee, Councilman Lanier has met the franchisee. Maybe y'all meet if you want to. The franchisee is on standby. They're Swedish, a couple, very successful couple in Sweden, man and wife, with 3 children that are excited to come to Tuscaloosa. And with that said, they're trying to get it done so their children can get into school this fall. To tell you a little bit about the children, 2 of them have already been accepted to the travel team for hockey, just based on film. And the little girl, she's an equestrian rider at a competitive level. So they're very excited about getting to Tuscaloosa. But the challenges are a lot of what you already know. We've seen an interest rate rise from 3% to 8%, which significantly impacts their project. We've seen construction prices rise, and they still have not retreated like you would like. We've seen supply chain deliveries. Right now, transformer for a small business or small buildings, 50, 60-week delivery, 1-year delivery is what the power company has quoted. We found a workaround by just having a meter of high voltage, and we're going to use something from the private side market for a transformer. Contractor is ready to go, they're ready to go, the franchise, they have it. But these are significant hurdles to get over, and it causes, we're dealing with this in all segments of our business. Coffee provider that I think y'all probably all know that's most popular. Costs have gone up so much that their rents won't cover a return on the cost. Same thing exists on this Guthrie's project. Creates jobs in the area. I think it impacts, not only does it impact Blight, its beginning, it's a good stepping stone. I think, while there are challenges to open a business in an area like this as to whether you're going to have this success, given some of these challenges we're talking about, I think bringing more people to the area, beginning to renew the area, probably has impact on crime. And we all know that's a challenge for every community, not just Tuscaloosa. As I travel across the country, same discussion. I was in Detroit Sunday night, and with some of the sheriff's department, the discussion was about crime. They're beginning to rein their crime in, but getting started on the south side of town and getting started with anything. There hasn't been anything built there in a very long time. This is like lighting a firecracker in my opinion. So that's the request is on the table. And I take any questions. Yes, and I am 33. Somebody has
Happy
I
birthday.
I even divided by 2, but don't tell anybody.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Mr. Pate, y'all, the Guthrie's there was one there in the past at some point, right?
It's interesting. Something didn't go wrong with that Guthrie's. That's a good question, Councilman. Guthrie's had a start in Athens, Georgia, with a good family, and they grew really quick. Zaxby's actually came out of Guthrie's. Oh, wow. 2 of the employees of Guthrie's walked out the door and went and started Zaxby's, and essentially cloned it pretty close. They've expanded it a bit, but Guthrie's continued to grow. Guthrie's a family business. You had a sister and 2 sons. One of them, they were doing so well, went off to Texas. He was a rodeoer, bought a ranch, was killed in a tragic accident going to rodeo. The other son had a little bit of a problem. The sister's done well, the mother, but as people have grown up and matured, they put that company back together again. And if you look in the prospectus or application, you'll see the number of locations they now have. But during that time, they were struggling a bit. They sold off 10 stores to a group of real estate folks scattered around Birmingham and so forth that she would recognize their names, and they thought they would expand it. They struggled among the group, and they had like 8 stores that weren't performing. They had a store here that was performing, but it pulled them all down. So they closed all of those. Guthrie's at this location that was operated, Guthrie's was, before that purchase, was a successful store. You know, you could say that may be part of the risk in here, but I don't believe that. I mean, I'm intending to build that building and lease that building to them. They have purchased the franchise, gone through that whole process, and they're standing on an order ready to order all the FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. That's pretty typical of the way one of these deals is set up. That the developer either provides just the land or the land in the building, and the tenant puts some skin in the game, franchise, and you know, some part of the capital investment. But y'all know it's been a long slog down through there, and again, a lot of people haven't understood that you can't kick somebody off of a property that has a lease. But we're there now, and you know, I think this is a good start. I hope y'all think it's a good start, and that's the reason for this request. Robert Amos will be the contractor. The minute if this incentive, if this body and ultimately council approves this incentive, he's ready to get started. I took the risk of going ahead and buying the air conditioning units. They'll fit on some other project if we weren't able to do this project, but they were on serious delivery challenges. It doesn't appear, I know that the delivery challenges that exist today with projects, we've got those under control. And again, the one I was seriously concerned about was the HVAC, so the decision was made that it could go on some other project, get it bought. Transformer situation, I've been able to handle that by the power company's taking my lead and saying, you know, let's just go do high side metering and let the private side be able to go to the free markets and buy a transformer. So we're good there. We're involved in the Del Taco over in Mississippi, can't get the switch gear. I mean, we got a building ready to open up, no switch gear. So these challenges still exist. But this particular project, I put the effort into making sure that we don't have those challenges to getting it built. It's still a longer period of time than you would expect to take to build it. This ought to be a 100-day building. It'll be a 180-day building. So, which is quite frankly pretty fast these days.
Yeah.
Stan, you feel like it'll be up by the end of the year? And then maybe they're working.
You know, Robert believes, I mean, you know, Robert and I've done a lot of work together. I put a lot of pressure on him. He feels like if he could get started immediately, he'd get it open by the end of the year. Now, you have some challenges about when you should open fast food restaurants. All restaurants really struggle in February and March because people spend a lot of their money at Christmas, just that simple. So there are a couple of times after school's out, fast foods, restaurants struggle a bit. People go to the beach, they go on vacation, they go somewhere else, and they're spending their money somewhere else. But they're going to open this store the minute. Actually, if this gets approved and these children will not go to school in Sweden next year, they'll be here going to school. They've been around, shopping around, looking at schools, looking at where they're going to live. I mean, they've been here. It wasn't long ago, they were here for a couple of weeks. And the father's been here on multiple trips.
once we clear this, we're excited to get to McFarland Mall itself.
Well, it's gonna happen, and it's probably not appropriate to, probably not good for me in this meeting, but we're under what you call a letter of intent, Linda. It's out for the PNC bank property, which needs, well, it closed. The goal is to see if we can, we were successful out in Alberta City, because Councilman Tyner here, once Regions was closed, and I mean, the real evidence of decline in the community is when lending institutions leave it. Weston is something that we're, Councilman Wilson and I are really, when there's no place to deposit or borrow money in the community is dead. I mean, they've made a decision. So we hope to try to, they want to eliminate any financial institution there for 5 years. Hoping that Councilman Lanier and I can negotiate that out of the terms of the contract. Because it'd be nice to make sure that we keep financial institutions in that area. But regardless, it's property that needs to be improved. So the whole area, and I mean, there may be some major announcements. The mayor and I have been working. Gosh, it goes back a long time ago on Trinity, which is a big vision to solve the traffic problem at Skyland and McFarland. I was on the phone with the director today talking about the very situation there. They say that's the #1 traffic accident intersection in the state, which surprised me when I heard that. There's some challenges down there because of the big creek and all the stormwater that comes down and the ability to get water out of that intersection. But there's a lot of effort at the state level on improving that intersection. So I think south side of town, I mean, we hope to be as successful there as we were at the Lowe's interchange, or call it the Lowe's interchange. But it's, other than the rise in interest rates, which hasn't really impacted development in real estate so far as we see it, the interchange, look, it's the best property in town. Just that simple. It has always been the best property in Tuscaloosa. All I could do is ask retailers that have been on this site. And, my goal is to restore it to being what it was in 1968 when it was developed. They've been willing to name that bridge after my father. That sets a dang high standard for me. So that may be the best thing that the town's got going for it when it comes to that site.
Well, thank you, Mr. Pater. Any other questions for the Mr. Pate? Barclay, I see the Chamber of Commerce has got a package in here. Do you want to give us a brief overview of the Chamber of Commerce assessment?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. The mayor's office asked us to take a look at this project and just do an analysis and report back to you guys what our thoughts are. First, let me just mention that sometimes in the economic development world, we kind of feel like a plumber, and the only tool in our toolbox is a hammer. And so, we see great projects, but then we don't necessarily always have the tools to incentivize those projects appropriately. So 5 years ago, the mayor, the city council, and staff at that time had the wisdom and foresight to create Invest Tuscaloosa program. And that creates a lot of flexibility for you guys as a council, for the mayor and his staff, to be able to work with projects that may not fit neatly into the boxes that we want them to fit neatly into. So just briefly, the Invest Tuscaloosa program, the intent of it is to stimulate private investment, provide missing services to enhance quality of life, create or retain jobs, remove blight, and then also support local entrepreneurship in underserved areas of the city, and gives the mayor and staff and city council the opportunity to negotiate with those project developers and make these projects happen. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and the big one? Okay. That one's not mine. Okay, so just a quick summary of the project as it was presented to us is that this project will be going on a vacant parcel on Skyline Boulevard between the Taco Bell and Hardee's. The project timeline, as Mr. Pate mentioned, construction starting as soon as possible, possibly opening as early as the end of this year. The development cost, roughly $2.6 million. And then employment, you're looking at 20 to 25 part-time jobs, 1 full-time job as a general manager with an annual payroll in the neighborhood of about $450,000. Okay. So again, getting back to the Invest Tuscaloosa objectives, encouraging private development, creating focal points for the community, enhancing overall appearance, and then also providing diverse services and options. So as the program is laid out, it must meet at least one of these 9 criteria. It doesn't have to meet all 9 of them, but it needs to meet at least one of them. So let's just go through it very quickly, one by one. So does this project meet the Invest Tuscaloosa qualifications? Activation of vacant parcels, clearly that's a yes. This parcel, as I understand it, has been vacant since the 2015 timeframe, I believe. So absolutely, this new investment in the area is going into a place that hasn't seen significant capital investment recently. Is it renovation of an abandoned building? Obviously not. There's not a building there. Is it a substantial project impact or a catalyst to change? Absolutely. This, again, getting back to the fact that this area of town has not seen significant capital investment in the recent past, it's certainly our hope that this project will add some additional development into the area and spur some additional activity in the area. It certainly gives additional dining choices for residents and visitors alike. Oftentimes we think of that as the south side of Tuscaloosa. We also think of it as a gateway into the community, and those are very true, but it's also a major interstate exit, okay? So as folks are traveling on the interstate, at least my family, we don't stop at the place that has the one gas station and the one fast food restaurant. We wait until that next exit coming up when we have some options, right? So having additional options in the area certainly is a benefit. Improve property values, absolutely. It's a vacant parcel right now, so it will improve not only that parcel, but it also gets into that issue about the broken window impact. We've all read that book about the broken window, right? You know, the same thing applies, that when we paint our house, all of our neighbors feel obligated to paint their houses. When we mow our lawn, our neighbors feel obligated to mow their lawns, right? So that's certainly hopeful that will add some additional improvements to the area and property value increases, and then additional tax revenue, especially after the abatements expire. Next one, job creation and retention. Certainly, there's going to be some construction jobs created during that 180-day period that the development is being built. But then there will be new full-time and part-time jobs created. Are there on-site environmental remediation issues that need to be cleaned up? To the best of our knowledge, there are not, so it does not meet the criteria on that specific one. Is it removal of blight? Absolutely. As has been mentioned a couple of times, this is one of the front doors to our community, probably the largest front door to our community. So we certainly want that to look as best as it possibly can. Gateway enhancement. You can't say this enough that it's incredibly important that our front door be as welcoming as possible and look as good as it possibly can. Provision of missing services, depending on which angle you look at this project from, it could be a yes, it could be a no. Okay, are there already quick service restaurants in the area? Absolutely. Is there a Guthrie's in the area? No. Is there a chicken finger restaurant within a stone's throw of this place? No. So that could be argued either way. But so that's why you get the check and the X on that one. And is it annexation? Obviously not. It's already in the existing footprint of the city. So the proposal that is in front of you has three different pieces. One, waiving of fees, waiving of some of the city fees, including the building permit fees and some others. We didn't necessarily look at that because that's a little bit lower on the totem pole. The two that we did look at were the city sales tax abatement as it was being proposed and the city ad valorem tax, excluding the educational portion of the ad valorem. Okay, so that's incredibly important. So as it's currently proposed, it would be 100% abatement for the first 10 years of city sales tax. Years 11 through 15 would be a 70% abatement, meaning 30% of that the taxes that are due would be paid. And then years 16 and beyond would be a 50% abatement and 50% being paid. And then the city ad valorem, 100% in years 1 through 3, 70% in 4 through 7, and 50% in years 8 and beyond. And I didn't put it on that particular slide, but the proposal, as it's being presented to you, does have a cap of $1 million, or 20 years, whichever comes first.
And it is confined to this business, correct?
That is my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Barclay, if this goes really well, and it probably should, it could pay out a lot sooner than that.
Absolutely, and that's the next few slides.
Probably the way to look at it.
Yeah, and so I know that it's a little bit tough to see on the screen. That's why you have the paper copies there in front of you. So if you want to follow along there, the developer did project out that the restaurant revenues in year 1 would be 1.8 million, staying steady in year 2 at 1.8 million, growing to 2 million in year 3. And then beyond year 3, you're looking at a 10% growth rate to infinity. Okay, I've checked with some of our restaurateurs. That's not an outrageous number, so they feel comfortable with that being a reasonable growth rate.
Is the revenue projection, I'm assuming, based on a similar Guthrie's somewhere else? Is that kind of how they came up with that number? I mean, and
that would be a
I'm
developer
curious
question.
then,
Councilman, you've asked a good question, and I think you make a good point as well. It's not a successful project if it takes us 20 years to pay it back. It is my opinion and my experience, the more that, as was pointed out at the podium, the more things that happen down there, the growth in sales of some of these businesses. You go down to the Lowe's interchange, everything down there performs at top in the category. Zaxby's, that's one of the 10 top stores in their entire chain, just to use it as an example. I think when we get started here at this interchange, it will even perform better than the Lowe's interchange. Nice thing about this interchange, new bridge, new access, easier to get off, easier to get back on. Interchange at exit 71 is not a good interchange with the flyover from the standpoint of being able to do business. So my thought, no, it's gonna be just like you said, these businesses are going to grow and they're going to grow fast.
And I guess, Stan, you're also saying that probably these numbers are pretty conservative.
They're more than conservative, I believe. I'm taking the risk.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be investing the capital I'm investing if I didn't think it was going to be successful and wildly successful. The mayor mentioned, and he and I've had a couple of meetings, there's some more pretty important things that are staged to happen down there. It's just that domino. And I've caught a lot of criticism about that down there, but again, a lot of people don't understand. You don't have unilateral right just to kick people out. You gotta wait them out. And I didn't want to rehab the project down there. I didn't want to take those buildings and put, what do they say, rouge and makeup or lipstick on it. I want new. And we're there. And this is the start. And I believe that ultimately this store will be one of the highest performing stores in the Zaxby chain. And that's the goal. We usually reach our goal.
So looking at the numbers, at 1.8 million, you're looking at projected revenue, city tax revenue of $54,000 in year one, and then growing from there. So under this scenario, for the first 10 years, which is represented on this first page, it would be 100% abated, and then 0% tax would be paid in sales tax. So that would actually total out over a 10-year cycle at $794,000. So you're already well over 3/4 of the way to the $1 million maximum in the first 10 years. Okay. The second page goes into years 11 through 20, and then I give you a 15-year summary as well as a 20-year summary. And so by year 15, you've already maxed out the sales tax abatement of $1 million, and you're already starting to recoup some of the sales tax revenue that the city would typically be owed. So in this scenario, if it was just sales tax only as what is the incentive, then you max out somewhere in the neighborhood of about year 13, year 14. Obviously, you have a little bit of wiggle room in there. And then by year 20, you're looking at $2.8 million in sales tax that could have been collected. $1 million of that is abated, and then $1.8 million coming back to the city. So that's representative of 35% of that portion would be abated, and then 65% coming to the city. For those of us who are visual learners, we did go ahead and put this on a graph. And so the crimson bars are the amount of the taxes that are abated. The green bars are the taxes that are coming into the city, and then the gray line is the cumulative amount of the abatement. Okay, so in this case, maxes out, as I said, in that year 12-13 time frame.
All right.
Okay. So then the second scenario would be including the ad valorem. As you know, the city does not get a substantial amount in ad valorem, but it does add a little bit. It accelerates how quickly you're able to get to that $1 million number. So instead of the $790,000 in a 10-year cycle, you're up to $878,000. Okay, and then the same scenario is before you in a 15-year and a 20-year summary, and so over a 20-year cycle, the city would be owed just a little over $3 million in both city, in city sales tax and city ad valorem. And then $1 million of that abated, about $2 million coming back to the city. Okay. And again, here is the presentation of those numbers in a graphical format. So you get the little yellow, little blue bars that you can barely see. That's your ad valorem. The crimson colored bar is the city sales tax that's being abated. The green is the city sales tax that is coming into the city coffers. And the gray line is the cumulative of the abatement. So in this case, it, as I said, accelerates how quickly we get to that $1 million number. So that comes into play in that year 11, year 12 timeframe.
All right, thank you, impactful presentation.
So, any questions?
Mayor, you and the thank you, Bart. You and the business development, urban development team, comments?
Like I emailed the council last night, just goes right into why Tuscaloosa was created. And let's move forward, and let's get on with the rest of the
You ought to meet the
conversation.
family, they're actually on standby.
No, I've already taken up 30 minutes of the next guy's time, but we will after this.
But they're very
outside.
excited about
Not just them, but me. I think the whole council is. I know that it's gonna be contagious as far as my district is concerned, so I'm excited about moving forward.
And that was the second part of my email to the council. That man right there is doing everything he can, and I want to support him. So this supports Invest Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
It certainly supports Mr. Lanier, and we look forward to working with Mr. Pate on not only this project, but that entire intersection.
Okay, and this is, so we got a presentation in executive session, I don't know, 2 or 3, 4 weeks ago. This is the points fleshed out from that.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Lanier, this was originally on the agenda as a discussion item, but I understand you're asking that it be forwarded to council?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Item is forwarded to council, recommended approval. Is there any other business for the finance committee today?
Thank you, guys.
Thank y'all. That was
All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I will see you at the center.
All in favor say aye.